Hello, everybody, and welcome into the FastTrack Sim Racing Cup Series live tonight from the fastest half mile in all of stock car racing. It's Bristol Motor Speedway, and it is an elimination race. Thank you all so much for tuning in. You are watching Austin Green on Ghost Racing Network. Qualifying is complete. Pace lap's going to be short here tonight, so let's get right into it. Taking the pole for the Bristol night race, it is going to be G.T. Hawkins, the rookie in the number 5, puts down a 14.3 to grab himself that first starting position here tonight. On his outside, it's going to be Michael Mueller, followed by Austin Fitzgerald back in 3rd. Then you've got Ty Iopolito in 4th, Alan Pajari in 5th. Tyler Marble will start back from the 6th spot here tonight. It's his teammate Jeff Marble back in 7th. Jake Hickson in 8th with Jared Bundy in 9th, and Jacob Musso rounding out your top 10. Starting back in the 11th spot, it's going to be Christian Losgen with Wes Hurd Jr. in 12th. Brian Conklin, Kyle Oakley will make up row 7. Jeffrey Souza, Roger Shelton back in row 8. It's going to be Ryan Haynes and Jeff Shutt in row number 9. And rounding out the top 20 is Tracy Powers and Johnny Mahalchuk. Quentin Clark will start 21st. Kenneth Bartholomew will roll off 22nd. And then back in row 12, it's going to be Greg Bartlett alongside Scott Glasso in the 4 car. Moving on back to the 27th spot, the 25th spot, it's going to be Thomas O'Hara, followed by Brandon Saylor to his outside in 26th. Cody Matthews rolls off 27th. It's Andrew Russo back in 28th. Danny Gutierrez 29th. Brett Spod rounds out your top 30. Anthony Hanley set to start in 31st, with Christopher Hall rounding out the field. He will start in 32nd. Taking a look at your race info, it is the Capitol Auto Bristol 250, the last of the Noble 5 Challenge here tonight with this race. Going to be 250 laps, 100% fuel, 4 sets of tires. No fast repairs as always, open setups, and 3 green-white checkers if we were to need them. Bristol Motor Speedway, just over half mile in length, high banking in the corners. And look at that track temp, nice and cool. We're going to see plenty of grip, 77 outside, 40% humidity. Cloudy skies, calm winds, and a great day to go racing. We talked about it. It's an elimination race. 4 drivers going to be going home after tonight as we will advance to the round of 12. Here we go. The Capitol Auto Bristol 250 is underway. Lap 1 complete just like that. That's how quick they're going to go by all night here at Bristol. Lap time's just about 14 seconds, a little bit more as the tires wear out, but already look at all the single file action that we have got towards the front. I should say the single file up front and the action more so is towards the middle and back of the pack right now. A little bit of 2x2, but a lot of drivers seem to be favoring the inside here, at least for the time being. You see Kyle Oakley in the 17. That's one of the drivers trying to advance to the round of 12. He's currently running that outside. Looks like just in front of him, that's the 12 of Wes Hurd Jr., another one of the playoff drivers who's trying to make his way towards the front. And by the way, you notice here tonight had a couple issues getting it set up over the last few weeks, but we finally got it ready. And so notice on the scoring tower, the drivers highlighted in purple with the P next to their name. Those are the drivers currently in the round of 16 in the playoffs. And again, after this week is over, we will eliminate 4 of them, and then it will be down to just 12. We'll actually look at the playoff picture itself and who sits where here in just a few laps from now. But I did want to turn the attention back up front because G.T. Hawkins continues to lead this race already. 6 laps complete of 250 here tonight. And so for Michael Mueller, who sits in 2nd, and then behind him, how about 4 more playoff drivers? Ty Iopolito, Austin Fitzgerald, Tyler Marble, and then Jake Hickson, all trying to get up here and make this a 6-way scrap for the lead. And I'm surprised to see this gap still hanging as close as it is, but, you know, tire fall off similar to the way, well, I'm not going to say there's not as much tire fall off. Obviously, there's a lot more than there was in the real-life race on Saturday, but, you know, if everybody manages their tires good, you can go pretty far. But the problem is going to be, how does the car start to handle as you get late in a run? Do you start to get loose? Do you start to get tight? How is the car in traffic, right? Can you make passes? Can you not? That's going to be some of the keys to trying to get the job done here tonight as we hop on board early here with the 15 of Jeff Marble, the driver out of Buffalo, New York, currently sitting in that 8th position, down a spot from where he started this race at. He was stuck on the inside, but you notice everybody pretty much bumper to bumper, and again, favoring that inside line. Curious to see if that moves up as the run goes on, or even as the night goes on. Drivers start kind of trying to experiment around a little bit, if you will. find an extra lane that works, but so far, a bunch of bottom feeders from what it looks like right now. Just 12 of 250 complete. And notice the track map. The other big thing that you get at a track like Bristol, that is lap traffic. We'll pull it back up for you again, show you what I'm talking about. Notice the separation through the entirety of this field. It is already about half a track length's worth, and that's going to continue to get even bigger and bigger, and it won't be too long here. Probably, if I had to guess, maybe another 15 laps or so before we'll be talking about GT Hawkins approaching some lap traffic, assuming he still has the lead, of course, and that is when, if you're a guy like Michael Mueller, Ty Iopolito, or really any of these drivers in the top 5, that's where you really try to put your head down, start to make up some time, because you know if that guy gets caught in an awkward spot with lap traffic, it's a good opportunity to try to make a move, make a pass, get yourself another position here before we get to that first round of green flag pit stops. And by the way, what pit stops are kind of looking like here tonight, it's going to be the big question in terms of how far the drivers can make it, whether or not it'll be a 1-stop or a 2-stop. It is a 250-mile event here tonight, or excuse me, only a 170, actually it would be 125, apologize. 125-mile event here tonight, with the way the track's oriented, 250 laps at a half a mile per lap. And so for GT Hawkins, not been able to stretch that gap. Now we go further back to Jeff Shutt, who currently sits just in front of the 73 of Kenneth Bartholomew. Bartholomew, by the way, is one of the rookies of this season and also one of the playoff drivers. Made his way into the round of 16. And going to be, again, looking to see if he can advance to the round of 12. And Kenneth Bartholomew did want to give a little bit of a shout-out here tonight to a few of his nieces, Aria and Autumn. And then also, can't forget about DJ. Certainly, I know, at least from what I've heard, some of the fans of Kenneth Bartholomew help support him through these races. Kenneth, one of the great drivers, and he just wants to let you guys know that he says hi and that he loves having you guys watch him race. He loves you in general. So for Kenneth Bartholomew, we'll have to see what happens. And by the way, before we keep going over some of these stories, because, you know, at a track like Bristol, once things get single file, it's kind of all about telling some of the storylines until we start to get down to the nitty-gritty. So before we get to that point, let's talk here tonight a little bit, and actually bring up the graphic for you here of how exactly the playoff standings are currently shaping up. We talked about it's the round of 16. We've looked at this graphic the last 2 weeks, but here we go. This is what it looks like. The drivers in green, they are currently in position to be they're not quite locked in. Some of them are locked in via wins. The drivers in green, though, you can see it right there. They are above that cutoff line to advance into the round of 12. Now, where things start to get a little bit tricky is when you get to that 11th, 12th, 13th, and 14th position. Why? Because look at it. Right now, Kyle Oakley, he's only up 2 positions from the cut line. Excuse me, 2 points rather. Jacob Musso's only up 1 point above the cut line right now. And then you've got Michael Mueller, who's down a point. And then Andrew Russo, who's just 7 points below the cut line. And there is plenty of drivers in the field tonight where really any of those 4 can easily swap around. I mean, for Michael Mueller, he's got to pick up 1 position or hope Musso loses 1. And with the way things are running right out of the gate, Michael Mueller, he's already done that. He's got himself a great run going. Meanwhile, Jacob Musso, who sits back in 20th, he may need a little help. And so then you look at a guy like Andrew Russo, who, of course, was able to get his way in towards the end of the season with his win at Daytona. He's going to need a good run here tonight. He's got to find a way to get the job done, but unfortunately, sits in 31st right now, so he's got some work to do. And then you look at, Kenneth Bartholomew and Westford Jr., realistically, the only ways they're probably getting in, although for Bartholomew, he still has a chance to do it just off positions, but I think for Westford Jr., I think it's kind of going to have to be a utilize that winning you're in type of format if he's going to want to advance his way to the round of 12. And then, of course, we'll see 3 more races after tonight to make up the round of 12 before we eliminate 4 more, as we'll move on to the round of 8 and then wrap things up after that to head to the championship 4. All right, back on track now. And looking with just, looks like it's going to be exactly 30 of 250 laps complete when they cross the line this next time. Out in front, it's still the 5 of GT Hawkins. And the other thing that we mentioned is tonight being the last of the Noble 5 Challenge for this season. So one of the drivers after tonight is going to be going home with an extra $50 on the season. And the battle's pretty tight really between two drivers specifically, and that's Ty Iopolito and Jeff Marble. We'll have to see who can get the better of that here tonight. Ty has had a knack for finishing second, it seems like, in just about every single one of the No Bull 5 races. He currently sits in ninth, and then Jeff Marble, who sits in second in that standings for the No Bull 5, currently sits in fifth in the race. And remember, that's the driver with the highest average finish after 5 races. We started that with Daytona, then it was Talladega, off to Charlotte after that, and then we went to Darlington, followed by Bristol to wrap things up, which is the race that we're in here tonight. Also, the last Capitol Auto race of the season, I do believe. And so, on behalf of the FastTrack Sim Racing Cup Series, to thank them for all that they do, Jeff Shutt for helping bring them on board and giving this extra challenge to the drivers, which I know has got to be a ton of fun. I mean, anytime you have something else to race for, it always adds that excitement. And speaking of that, there's a little bit of a challenge going on for the drivers who are not currently in the playoffs. In fact, the drivers who just didn't make the playoffs in general. The highest finishing driver that it did not make the playoffs will receive an extra bonus at the end of the season as well. And in fact, we have what the standings are looking like for that. The non-playoff... Oh, and hold your breath here. Caution's out. Trouble a little bit further back here. Looking for exactly where it is. Uh-oh. That's Wesser Jr., one of the playoff drivers, with some trouble. As he's trying to get it looped back around, looks like he will. So as the 12 gets back rolling, we are under caution for the first time here tonight. So we'll hold off on some of the stories we were just talking about for now to go back and take a look at what went wrong here for the 12 of Wesser Jr. A little bit of 3 wide here. Looks like something's not quite going to work out here. That's the 25 of Tracy Powers looking to the middle here as the 19 of Ty Iopolito is up high, and then 3 wides tight here at Bristol often doesn't work, and that's a case where it just didn't work. And man, that's a pretty hard hit there for 2 of your playoff drivers. Ty Iopolito kind of being the innocent victim there, nothing he could do. And then, oh, second big hit up there for another playoff contender with Scott Glasso making heavy contact. Brandon Saylor tags Wesser Jr. at the end of that one. You wondered, did that break the suspension right there, that last hit? That's got to be certainly the concern. Just gets it back rolling. A little hard to tell from that view. Certainly going to be something we have to keep an eye on here. As, see, with the way he's got that wheel turning, certainly gets you a little bit concerned if there was any suspension damage. Nonetheless, let's go back and give you a couple more angles of this here. Let's watch it from the chopper view and see, does it look like Wes comes up just a little bit? Does Tracy come down, or is it really just what it looked like from the initial view, which is just tight racing here? Yeah, you see, I mean, it's kind of a little bit of both, right? I mean, the 25's kind of trying to run that arc off the corner, just get a little bit of a better setup for exit. So Tracy Powers maybe comes down a little bit, not much, again, kind of running the normal line. And for Wesser Jr., he's in the same boat, right? He probably doesn't even realize that they're 3 wide at this moment. And that car's naturally going to have to slide up the banking just a little bit. And it's hard for me to tell from this point of view. You can't really pin the blame, solidly on anybody. Of course, like I said, it seems like the 25 moving down a little bit. At the same time, the 12's probably working up just a tad, as that's kind of the natural race line, and they just really run out of room. And once they get together, this is where some of the hard hits took place. And for Wesser Jr., they didn't end there. Watch this as he slides back up on the racetrack. He's going to get tagged again by Brandon Saylor, but it was actually a little bit ahead where Scott Glasso, another one of the playoff drivers, he may have arguably got the worst of this one. As watch this. There's the contact. Glasso sees it. He's going to try to go high. Then, as Powers comes up, takes a big hit. And Powers gets into the wall again. So that's how we see our first caution here tonight. Show you again here from a slow motion point of view. As there's Powers going up the track. Glasso nowhere to go. And watch this. Bam! Clobbers him in the right front suspension region. Heavy damage for both cars. And we'll give you one more view here before we go back up front. This is from the static cam. Showing you that view from the wall up in turn 1 and 2. And so as we go back live now, we set ourselves up for the first restart of the night. Up front, leading the way, it's Michael Mueller. Austin Fitzgerald in second. And then you've got Tyler Marble in third. Jeff Marble back in fourth. Kyle Oakley currently rounding out your top 5. Remember, we mentioned Kyle just last week saying that when we were coming to Bristol, we were going to keep an eye on him because last time we were here, the driver of the 17 had a lot of speed and almost had a chance towards the end of the race. So for Kyle Oakley, this is a track that maybe he had circled on the calendar for the race he was going to lock himself into the next round with. We'll have to find out. A lot of chaos still to play out as we are almost a fifth of the way through this race. Green flag is back in the air. It's Austin Fitzgerald who gets out to a jump over Michael Mueller, and he will lead him off into turn number 1. Show you the wider cam here, TV3, because this is where all the chaos happens. Some drivers potentially on colder tires, trying to get them up to temp here, and these first couple laps are the most treacherous of them all. So far, so good, though, as they are still 2x2 for the 3rd and 4th spot. Looks like now Jeff Marble is going to be able to find a spot to slot in line, but he'll duck back out to the outside now as they work up through 3 and 4. And for Jeff Marble here, I mean, this goes for kind of a lot of guys that are sitting top 5 in points. It doesn't really matter to them too much where they finish tonight. I mean, they're basically locked in. It's kind of more so go for the win or see just how good you can finish. But what Jeff Marble is worried about tonight is, as we mentioned earlier, trying to capture the Noble 5 Challenge, try to be the winner of that for this season, as it is a very, very tight battle between him and Ty Iopolito. But with Ty getting that damage and being involved in that wreck early, that's certainly going to change some things up with the way the point standings are looking for that. So as they stay single file now for the front 2, maybe a little side-by-side here, I think Jeff Marble, he may have started to find a little something up there in that top groove. He's been getting a little bit more momentum each and every lap that he stays up there. Just as I say that, though, not the case that time. As take a look at some of the onboard views here. Sitting in that 5th spot right now is Christian Lostjen. And oh, just as we said that, caution's out, so we'll go back and figure out where it is. And it's going to be down the front stretch, it appears, as we got a couple around, and oh man, Wesser Jr. again, after just being involved in that last incident. And this time, the damage is a lot worse for that 12 car. Left front suspension broke, and this is not good. In fact, this may have just completely changed what we were talking about for the cut line as well. Maybe not so much. Wesser Jr. was one of the drivers we talked about kind of in a must-win situation, and that damage right there, that very well may have officially ended his playoff hopes here for tonight. So he's going to try to get it fixed up the best he can, but it's just so easy to lose laps here, even under caution. For Wesser Jr., I think that's going to probably end his night. All right, let's go back, take a look at it here. This is going to be a similar setup, but kind of different positions here for Wesser Jr. to the way the last wreck happened. We'll go to the chopper view first, and it was actually as they got down into the corner, some contact between him and the 07 of Thomas O'Hara. Watch this again here from the chopper. I'll play it slow for you. The 07's on the bottom of the racetrack. That's a really shallow entry from O'Hara. And then, oh man, it's such slight contact there. May have even been a little bit of netcode, but either way, that's the 07 right there coming up the racetrack. Wesser Jr. kind of moves down to the middle, and I think that Thomas, I think it was a mix of two things for Thomas. I don't think he maybe expected a 12 to get to the middle, but more so than that, he may have been expecting that. I think it was just that the 07 had too shallow of an entry here, and whenever you enter a corner that shallow, you know that the car is going to have a tendency to wash up the track. And for Thomas O'Hara, let's watch the onboard view here, see what it looks like for him. So he's on the inside of the racetrack here, and then right, yeah, I mean, as far left as his wheels turned, I think he certainly got up the track more than he was expecting. It's kind of a result of that shallow entry, but then for Wesser Jr. here, who was just trying to kind of run the line, maybe thought he was even going to get clear of the 07 here. Certainly not what he had in the cards right here. As there's the contact, just brief. Sends this 012 around. Is he going to get tagged? Yes, he is. The 34 Pajari slams in with nowhere to go. I think that was, for the most part, at least the brunt of it there. I see Quentin Clark. Some damage to the front end of his race car. Trying to figure out if that was from this incident or not. It doesn't. Well, it might have been here. Let's watch. As contact occurs up front. Oh, yeah. He gets into the 16 of Jake Hickson big time. And that's what gave him all that front end damage. Was able to avoid a second contact there with Pajari, but still, once the damage is done, it's done. Give you another wide angle shot of this here. Watch it where it starts and then watch where it ends here. Jake Hickson saw it, tried to check up, but just really tough to do here at Bristol. Hard to see, and things happen fast when you're going, 130 miles an hour entering a corner at a track that's only a half mile in length. So everybody gets back rolling here, and we'll set ourselves up for yet another restart. Second one of the night, as we are now officially over a fifth of the way through this race. 51 of 250 laps complete. Like I said, if we can get to a pretty long green flag run, they'll go by quick here. And it really is a rhythm track. You got to find a rhythm. You got to stick to it. And when you get thrown out of it, It's hard to get it back. On the front row here, it's going to be Fitzgerald and Michael Mueller. Tyler Marble, Jeff Marble, the two teammates in row 2. And then Christian Lodge and Roger Shelton back in row 3. Pace car pulls off. Austin Fitzgerald will grab the shifter. Green flag is back in the air at Bristol. And another good restart for the 74. A little bit better this time for the 99 of Michael Mueller. But Fitzgerald is going to get clear as he will pull clear by a few car lengths now off of turn 2 as they battle out back. Still 2 by 2. That's Jeff Marble alongside the 42 of Roger Shelton, who is already up 12, almost 13 positions from where he started this race at here tonight. For Roger Shelton, not a playoff driver, but still looking to grab that first win. Could tonight be his night? That's going to be the big question. Kyle Oakley back in 7th. Johnny Mahalchuk, he's already found himself over 10 positions to start this race. He sits in 8th right now. And then there's his teammate Jeff Shutt, who is on the move. The 27 trying to go to the front here. How hard will his teammate race him? By the way, Jeff Shutt, another one of the drivers that is carrying an onboard view for us here tonight. Talked about one of the drivers for No Excuses Racing trying to advance to the round of 12, and he is in pretty good position to do so. But the way it stands right now, he currently sits in that 10th spot for points. So bearing nothing super crazy, which may be a bit of an understatement here for Bristol, but bearing nothing crazy, he's got a good shot here tonight to get the job done. Still on the inside here, not been able to get around the 17 of Kyle Oakley, but Johnny Mahalchuk did fall back a few spots once his teammate got by. There's GT Hawkins, driver out of Columbus, Ohio, the rookie who continues to impress even into the playoffs. I know he's not one of the playoff drivers, doing a phenomenal job. And then we were just talking about Johnny Mahalchuk, and here he is tonight looking for a good run. As we hop on the rear chase view, look out back at all the chaos. Man, I'm telling you, as a driver here, and it's so interesting because, again, we talked about the fact that, you know, it's only a half-mile track, but the speeds are just absolutely wicked for the fact that it's a half-mile track. I mean, you compare the corner speed and the straightaway speed they get here versus a track like Martinsville. I mean, it's night and day. Look at that. Over 140 miles an hour there on the straightaway at a half mile, and still well over 100 miles an hour through the corner. I mean, that is just incredible. I know it's a sim because in real life, the amount of G-forces these guys would be feeling right now. But still, the point I'm trying to make here is if you go on the cockpit view, I mean, it looks like things are happening so fast here at Bristol, and you're sitting there trying to make moves. You got cars that are on your bumper. You know, guys start to get impatient. And the track temp, by the way, has risen about 3 degrees from where we started this race at. Not a big deal, but still something to note, because normally we would expect that track temp to cool down as the night continued to go on, but not the case, at least not right now. So we go back now and take a look at a few of our other driver cams. Ryan Haynes for BMP Motorsports. He's got the onboard view here tonight, and one thing that I was kind of curious about if we would see with Bristol was shifting. And it seems like for the most part that is not the case here tonight. Everybody has set their cars up to be able to run a high enough RPM in 5th gear where shifting has not really been a concern, at least not for any of the drivers that we've seen. And then as we take our way back towards the front, we'll take a look at the two teammates and their onboard views. Here's Tyler Marble, currently trying to run down the 99 of Michael Mueller. He sits in 3rd, trying to grab that 2nd spot. But look at Michael Mueller. He's currently challenging the 74 of Austin Fitzgerald, trying to pick up that lead here, see if he can get some clean air and try to potentially run away with it. And then just a few spots back, there's Jeff Marble. He can see all that chaos up front as he deals with a little bit of chaos of his own here as he's side by side with Roger Shelton, currently running on the inside, looking for a little bit more here as we've now completed 66, 250. And now we turn the cameras back to the front where Austin Fitzgerald continues to lead. But the battle for the lead is fierce right now. Michael Mueller still putting as much pressure as he has all night on this 74, trying to get him to slip up, make a mistake, but Fitzgerald has not made one yet. Tyler Marble, a little bit of a different paint scheme here tonight. He's got the Lumar / Napa 48 Chevy Camaro. Usually runs the Chase Elliott paint schemes. And for Tyler Marble, he's already got himself 2 wins. In fact, he's the defending winner, and right now he's went perfect through the playoffs, 100%. He's won every single race so far in the round of 16. Can he make it a perfect trio here tonight? Ooh, big slip up right there. It's the 5 of GT Hawkins will go right around the outside. That was a close call there for Tyler Marble. How about Kyle Oakley now up to 5th? He's brought it inside the top 5, but Christian Losgen going to be looking to his inside here. 70 laps complete, and for Kyle Oakley, still in very good position to advance to the next round. He's hoping he can keep it up. Further back, Jeff Marble has now slipped another position. His Finally got around the 42 of Roger Shelton. Comes Johnny Mahalchuk to the front. Kenneth Bartholomew and the Gerber glass and collision. I believe it's actually Gerber collision and glass. Excuse me. Yep, sure enough. That's kind of the paint scheme that he ran at the start of this season. Good to see him get back to it. And you know, with all the rookies and all the success that especially Riot Motorsports has had as a rookie team this year, for Kenneth Bartholomew, you know that he was looking to say, hey, don't forget about me here. Remember what I did during Speed Weeks. And remember how I was able to get myself here. Consistency and showing up each and every week, even if it's a track I don't like. And that consistency's paid off so far. We'll see if the rookie can continue his march through the playoffs. Cody Matthews back in 18th. But this little jump was, ooh, man, Jared Bundy. That was a close call right there for one of your playoff drivers. Jared Bundy, don't forget, he got the win back at Texas during the regular season. Almost went 2 for 2 by getting a win at Charlotte. Things didn't work out there. Because right now he is trying to get through this mess. Kind of this traffic jam, if you will. Jake Hickson just behind his teammate Ty Iopolito there in frame as well. And you've got Danny Gutierrez kind of stuck in the middle right now. Can't get below the 10, and he's got the 19 to his inside as well. By the way, we mentioned lap traffic. We're starting to get to the point in this run where you start to maybe think about it, but it doesn't look like it's a concern just yet. Battle for the lead back on, though. This time it's the 5 of GT Hawkins trying to take it from the 74 Fitzgerald, and he will do so. Remember, GT Hawkins, he's got the job done before on a short track this season. You look back to the All-Star race at North Wilkesboro. He won the Open to get himself into the All-Star race, and then what did he do after that? Immediately went on to win the All-Star race. Had a chance to go to Bristol earlier on in the season, but it was a day race. It just feels like so many things are different, but drivers still take notes. GT Hawkins was not here for that race. So for him, this is technically kind of new running with these guys, but he's doing a great job so far. See if he can keep it up here as we're getting ready to complete 80 laps next time around. And with that, we are going to take our first break tonight. We'll go side by side so you don't miss a thing. We'll be back. Stick with us at Bristol.
Capitol Subaru, we value your time. Whether you're here for service or working with our amazing sales team, everything is right here for your convenience. We offer a great selection of Subarus, an industry-leading service center that keeps you moving, and so much more. Like our living green wall, just one of the many features throughout our dealership. Looking for the perfect pet gift? Check out Happy Paws Pet Shop right here in our lobby. Or plan your next adventure in our fireside seating and find your happy place. It's always your time at Capitol Subaru, your way on the Parkway.
Welcome back to Bristol Motor Speedway with the Capitol Auto Bristol 250. Under caution now for the third time here tonight. Weren't able to catch all of it while we were on break, but let's go back, take a look at it, see exactly what was the cause of this one here. It looks like Jeff Shutt may have been one of the drivers involved. Remember, he is one of the playoff drivers, so that could be bad news for him. But let's go back here, see exactly how this one gets sparked. So back right around the mid-teens here. Let's see here. That's Jacob Musso on the 95 on the outside. Does he get loose? Coming off the corner and then get down into the 27? I couldn't tell from the initial. Looks like the 95 comes down and then no issue there. No issue there. So this has got to assume maybe was this a wreck out in front? Yeah, I don't think this was where the wreck was. This had something to do with behind the wreck. So actually finding the wreck itself here is kind of the challenge right now. Forget exactly who had the issue here. See if we can see anything from the TV3 view. Oh, and there's your answer right there. I believe was that Alan Pajari in the 34. I think it was. Who had an issue coming off of turn 2, it looks like. And then ended up having another issue at the end. So just gets, oh yeah, he just kind of gets on the apron. In fact, gets that front left tire on the apron, and then once he goes around on him, that's a pretty hard hit into the inside safer barrier, and then he's going to just come to a stop here. And I wonder if him bringing it to a stop was what brought out the caution. I know sometimes they can do that. That's unfortunate, because if that was the case here, you know that Pajari certainly wasn't trying to bring out the caution. In fact, he was just trying to kind of call it a night. You know, he felt like had enough at this point, and fortunately he was trying to look here if this is indeed what brings out the caution. And yeah, sure enough, that's exactly what it was. So it's a tough break. Alan Pajari, like I said, I know he didn't mean to do that, but man, a lot of the field probably saying, what the heck? I don't see any problems here, and if the caution came out. But going back and looking at this wreck again, watch this from the cockpit view. Just gets a little loose, and then once that left front gets on the apron, I mean, there's just no saving it. He's off throttle. He's trying everything, but he just can never steer out of it. That inside wall comes up in a hurry. Nowhere to hide that time for Alan Pajari. All right, back up front. Here we go. Pace car pulls off. Green flag back in the air. 92 of 250 laps complete. Good restarts up front. A little bit of a stack up there further back as they are 3 wide through 1 and 2, but they quickly narrow it back down to 2 by 2. GT Hawkins leading the way. Jacob Musso in second. Then you've got Quentin Clark, Brandon Saylor third and fourth. Battle for fifth between Ryan Haynes and Brian Conklin. Highest running position that Ryan Haynes has been in here tonight, as he is up 11 positions from where he started this race at. Kyle Oakley got buried a little bit for this restart, as he's currently sitting just outside the top 10. He's got some work to do to get back towards the front. As you see, Jeff Marble, Roger Shelton, Tyler Marble, Tai Iopolito, a couple of the other playoff drivers that are also currently sitting more towards the middle of the pack. And it's always a scary spot to be, especially when you know that you don't have a fast repair to fall back on. Always worried about an incident in front and getting collected in it. Part of what you just got to kind of do to get back to the front here at Bristol is Jeff Marble and Roger Shelton right there. Maybe a little bit of argy-bargy getting into the corner. I thought I saw some contact there on the right front. Jeff Marble with the left rear of Shelton. But Shelton gets the better of him there as he'll get the spot, and he'll continue his march towards the front. There's, by the way, Alan Pajari looks like he has not returned out on track, so I'm assuming he is going to call it for the night. That now puts Thomas O'Hara as the last car running on the racetrack, with a little bit of blinking issues right now, but Pajari being scored in 28th, and then Scott Glasso being scored in 29th, not on the lead lap. Neither is Wesser Jr. or Tracy Powers. Those two have retired from the race, and then Anthony Hanley looks like it did not even make the start. And by the way, for Scott Glasso, that's a little interesting because he was sitting in 8th, but based off the points I see, I believe he was somewhere around probably 7 points or so to the good. So he could still be in a little bit of a dangerous spot here. This is what makes it so interesting, is it's going to come down to probably a matter of just a couple points for who makes it and who doesn't. And, really nobody's safe unless you're in the top 5. You think you are one moment, but then something happens. Next thing you know, you're on the cut line and you're out of the next round of the playoffs. Now officially at the 100-lap point, about 25 laps from halfway, is GT Hawkins trying to stretch it out a little bit. He's got over a half a second lead on Jacob Musso. Meanwhile, further back, the struggle to get through lap traffic continues for quite a few, but looks like Kyle Oakley's managing it pretty well, as is Christian Lostgen. They have now moved their way back towards the front. Some of the drivers maybe not handling it so well, or potentially just saving some tire for now, is Jeff Marble, Tyler Marble. Jeff Shutt, though, boy, he's on the move. After getting involved in that incident earlier, he knows that he's going to have to make something happen, and he is already back up to 15th, and he is working his way through the field as he jumps to the outside of Ty Iopolito. And it's kind of interesting because at the start of this race, we had the inside lane down as being the preferred groove, but look at Jeff Shutt. I mean, he is just picking them off on the outside, 1 by 1, 2 by 2. It doesn't matter. To 27, I'm not sure if he's on fresher tires or what the case is, but he is running a whole heck of a lot more speed than everybody that's running that inside groove. And now a little bit of a stack up here for Jeff Shutt. Nowhere to go as he caught the back bumper of Brian Conklin and Ryan Haynes. So he'll have to reassess here and maybe try something a little different. Meanwhile, back at the front, 2 by 2 now. Up front is Michael Mueller. He's going to take that position away from GT Hawkins, new leader. And remember Michael Mueller, how good he was here when we came in, I believe it was the spring. Point is, when it was for the day race. And the 99, that was back when Riot Motorsports was kind of taking the scene by storm, if you will, with how much speed they all had as rookies. And it seemed like just about every single race, they had a race-winning car out of either one of the three, either him, Andrew Mraz, or of course Quentin Clark, who's also proven to be a short track specialist. But I talked about how much speed Michael Mueller actually had during that race, and I mean, if you remember, he won the race, so of course that's, how he got himself locked in so early. So he's no stranger to winning here at Bristol. The question is, can he do it here again tonight? And now, guess who? Kyle Oakley trying to get close to the leader. He might be knocking on the back door pretty soon. Was able to get around the 7 of Christian Lostgen, or excuse me, the 5 of GT Hawkins. Christian Lostgen was also able to get around Hawkins, and now that puts the 17 up in that second spot, as it looks like Michael Mueller is trying to figure out, does he have any lap traffic in the way yet? Doesn't appear so. Well, he might be soon here. Looks like there's one lapper about half a straightaway ahead. That's Alan Pajari, who is trying to make a return, but he's just going to dive it down to the apron, wants to stay well out of the way of the leaders, as he'll actually bring it back down to the pits here, maybe getting some more damage repaired. And I know we haven't had to deal with one yet, but if we have a pit stop, this is a very, very tricky pit road to have to deal with here. In fact, you can see there's kind of 2 pit roads the way it's set up, and it is very easy to get confused as a driver and think that you're, going down the right pit lane, but maybe you're on the front stretch and you're going down the one on the back stretch. So you got to be really, really careful. Make sure that you choose the right pit road during your pit cycles. In fact, I think at this point, if we're going to have a pit stop, it would only be one, of course. We've ran enough laps to eliminate the possibility of a 2-stopper, as Oakley may have just kissed the outside wall right there. That allowed Lostgen to close up the gap just a little bit. Still no move yet to be made, at least not for that 7 car. That time off at 2. So he'll try again here through 3 and 4, actually, excuse me. Flip the turns around. Let's hop back on board, though, and see exactly. I was curious to see what the lap times these drivers are running right now. We'll go up front to Michael Mueller. And so right now he's putting down about 14.9s. If you remember what the pole lap was, it was about a 14 flat. So the fall off so far, at least, from qualifying pace to race pace, and again, this is with some tire wear, is already about a second, and I believe it could probably go up anywhere between 1.5 seconds to 2 seconds, depending on, of course, how good you are here, and then also how bad you wear your tires out. Looking out the gearbox now from Michael Mueller. By the way, Bristol Motor Speedway, we talked about the banking earlier being similar to Daytona. 28 degrees of banking in the corners is what allows these drivers to go as fast as they do, even though the track's as short as it is. By the way, GT Hawkins has also fallen back to 5th. Down 4 spots. Uh-oh. Saw some contact back there, I believe. Was that Jacob Musso? He might have tagged the outside wall. I think it was. That's not good news there for the 15, or the 95 rather. It's one of the drivers that is trying to make it to the next round of the playoffs, and where he stands right now, he cannot afford to be making mistakes here tonight. We talked about him being just 1 point to the good above that cut line. He's coming into the race here tonight, but who knows how that runs now, especially when a driver like Kyle Oakley, who is kind of one of the drivers that the 95 was competing with, is having such a good run. As you see Musso slip up again there, that's going to cost him just a little bit more time now, as he'll fall back to side by side with Danny Gutierrez. Almost halfway through. Ooh, boy, that was another big wiggle. That time it was from the 08 of Danny Gutierrez. He got really, really loose off the corner that time. And it's interesting to see just how snappy some of these cars are here. Used to not be that way. It felt like with some of the older gens of race cars, you kind of got loose and maybe you could drive out of it. These next gens, they've got a lot of downforce and they're planted on the racetrack until they're not. And once they kind of break that downforce, get loose, they are just so snappy, so hard to save. We saw it with Pajari. We've seen it a couple times now with a few drivers that have all but overcorrected into the outside wall. As Christian Lostjen now has taken the lead away from Michael Mueller. Boy, that was pretty quick that he was able to get around Oakley and Mueller. And it's hard for me to tell, I mean, if it's just somebody saving tire more than the others, fresher tires than the other, or what, because man, we saw Lostjen hanging with these two. Now he's passed him for the lead. Michael Mueller seemed like he was playing conservative for a little bit, but now he's gotten past the course for the lead. They are going to be coming up on a few lappers here. Looks like it's a group of 3. I think that's Ryan Haynes, Brian Conklin, and Christopher Hall. So we'll see how they deal with this here, if they're able to get around them easily, or if they have to do a little bit of battling here, and if maybe this sets Michael Mueller up to try to get back around a few of these lappers. Christopher Hall right there, maybe a little bit of the chrome horn to the back of Brian Conklin. And there you go, the 7 of Christian Lostjen. He'll take the outside. Mueller will follow. No issues there, but they are now 2 by 2. Ryan Haynes is going to take the top. Conklin on the bottom. Traffic jam. Lostjen's going to dive low. Mueller was not ready for it, but now, look at this. Lostjen has to check up again. They're 3 wide as Conklin's going to slide up behind the 39. That's exactly what Michael Mueller needed. The 99 has now gotten back to the back bumper of the 7. He'll give him a little shot getting into turn 3 that time. And Mueller's just trying to find a way to take advantage here while he's got the opportunity. You don't want to let a guy drive away from you if there's anything you can do about it. And now they'll both get clear. And he's going to try to settle in here and see if he can go back and try to regroup and get back around this 7 car. Meanwhile, for Team Marble iRacing, still struggling a bit. Tyler Marble has worked his way back up to 7th. Jeff Marble 8th, Jeff Shutt in 9th. So I guess pretty good to still get back in the top 10 as Jay Kickson, Taio Polito 10th and 11th right now, but I thought they would have made a little bit more progress by now. Nonetheless, we know that they like to set those cars up for the long run, so we'll see how things pan out there. Oh man, Michael Mueller, big momentum on the outside, and he almost was able to get even with Christian Lostjen right there, but he couldn't quite make it happen. He'll drag race him across the stripe that time, as it's now 132 laps in the books. Mueller gets a little bit of a slip up right there off of 2. That allows Lostjen to get back clear. Boy, what a battle up front. I mean, I know we're not super late into the run, but to still be at this point in the run and have 3 cars all up here basically battling even for the lead, this is good stuff. What more can you ask for from Bristol Motor Speedway? And Kyle Oakley, he looks about as calm, cool, and collected as someone could be in that position. Again, he sits in 3rd. And by the way, he is still looking for his first win of the season. So I know I talked about he just needs a good run to make it to the next round, but he doesn't want to hear that. If he's got an opportunity to win this race, you better believe he is going to try to do it. Tack on a win for SWM Motorsports if he could do so. There's a little bit of contact right there to the back bumper of Michael Mueller. No harm, no foul, as Christian Lostjen is going to try to start to slowly but surely pull away again. See if he can do it, and it's interesting to see the 2 different lines. The leader kind of running the inside, whereas Oakley and Mueller, and now look at this, Mueller's going to get the run. He'll jump to the outside here in turn 1 and 2. And what I was just getting ready to say is that it's interesting to see the 2 different lines. One's momentum versus one's that's the shorter way around the racetrack. And now that Lostjen's given that up, Mueller's going to take over. Oakley's going to try to make the pass as well. He'll be able to do so. Just like that, after it looked like Lostjen may have switched to being the fastest car, he now fades back to 3rd. Can Kyle Oakley go up here and challenge Michael Mueller for the lead? See if he can or not, but it's now 138, going to be 139 laps complete. When they cross the line this time, we're going to take another break. We'll go side by side. We'll be right back at Bristol.
Capitol Subaru, we value your time, whether you're here for service or working with our amazing sales team. Everything is right here for your convenience. We offer a great selection of Subarus, an industry-leading service center that keeps you moving, and so much more. Like our living green wall, just one of the many features throughout our dealership. Looking for the perfect pet gift? Check out Happy Paws Pet Shop right here in our lobby. Or plan your next adventure in our fireside seating and find your happy place. It's always your time at Capitol Subaru, your way on the Parkway.
Welcome back to Bristol Motor Speedway, and I do apologize. Looks like the desktop audio may have been on for that, so commercials may have been a little bit quiet, but nonetheless, we are now officially 151 of 250 laps complete, just 100 to go, and again, that's going to go by pretty quick. Still expecting one more green flag pit stop if it continues to run green. Michael Mueller currently leading the way. Kyle Oakley in second, about 0.3 of a second behind. Then it's Austin Fitzgerald, who's now made his way back up onto the podium. And whenever you see that 74 creeping his way to the front, time to start getting a little nervous because, you know, I know it said 100 laps to go by quick, but that's still plenty of time for Austin Fitzgerald to get himself back up here and in contention to potentially try to take the lead. Looks like we do have a couple drivers in the pits. Brett Spod currently sitting in the pits right now. Not sure. Don't think that was scheduled. Must have had some sort of technical issue as 35 just continues to sit there. So tough break for Brett Spod. Meanwhile, back up front, Kyle Oakley has closed the gap down as Ryan Haynes is trying to get a lap back here from the 99 of Mueller. And, ooh, man, you saw the sparks fly right there. The 99 got into the outside wall just a little bit. And Mueller maybe starting to push that envelope more and more here to try to find some grip. Meanwhile, Oakley looking smooth as butter, but here he comes, Austin Fitzgerald. He is now within half a second of these two, and he may blow by the both of them with how quickly he's getting back up here, especially now that they're side by side. Oakley going to try to get this spot here off at the corner, and man, he just couldn't quite get it. He'll try it again down here in 1 and 2, but for Oakley, the quicker he gets this, the better. Doesn't want to have to keep wasting time and tires by sitting down here on the bottom. He had it briefly there, but he's going to continue to work on this pass nice and slow. Now he'll get clear. He'll jump up, and here we go. Kyle Oakley, for the first time here tonight, he has taken the lead at Bristol. Now he's trying to work around the 08 of Danny Gutierrez to put him another lap down. Let's talk briefly about what the upcoming schedule is looking like. We mentioned that tonight we will end officially the round of 16 and move on to the round of 12. And so that means that next week we will head to Kansas. Boy, that's going to be a fun mile and a half, very fast mile and a half at that, and provides a lot of great racing. You can run the high side, the middle, the bottom, just about anywhere in between. And then it's off to the final super speedway of the season, and one that a lot of drivers who are in the playoffs are going to be looking to take advantage of. Others are dreading, and that is the big bad Talladega Super Speedway. That will be another good one. And then it's off to the Charlotte Roval, a road course where you got to assume Tyler Marble is going to be the favorite. That's on October 14th, and that will end the round of 12. Then once we kick off the round of 8 with Las Vegas Motor Speedway, and then we'll head to Homestead, followed by Martinsville, which will be the cutoff race for the round of 4 before we head back to another short track. So that'll be back-to-back short tracks to end the season. That will be Phoenix Raceway for the championship. That race will be 156 laps in the desert. Looking forward to that one, but a long ways to go still and a lot of things to happen. But Austin Fitzgerald, got to think he's feeling like, kind of, I don't want to say cheated, but I mean, realistically, that's kind of what it was out of a championship last season. Had the field, had him pretty much smoked. He was the fastest car, and it wasn't even close. But had a technical issue where his wheel disconnected coming off of turn 2. That car went dead pretty much right into the outside wall, destroyed his race car, ended his night. And then we saw, of course, that chaotic and controversial finish there on the last lap. And so for Fitzgerald, he'll be looking to see if he can kind of go for redemption here this season. By the way, Kyle Oakley, I thought that Fitzgerald was going to be tracking him down. I'm not sure if it's the way they caught lap traffic or what, but Oakley was able to stretch that gap out pretty quickly to almost a second and a half over Fitzgerald. We'll see if that closes up, but man, the 17 out in front, Kyle Oakley, continues to look like he is on rails right now. By the way, Jeff Marble has now worked his way back up to 3rd, so when we were wondering why it was taking him a while, this might have been it right here. Saving some tire, making sure that you're in it for the long run. Now that we start to have kind of worked our way into that longer portion of the run, it's paying dividends for the 15, the 74. The question is, where's his teammate? The 48 of Tyler Marble did not make it as far to the front as he did, as he currently sits back at that 10th spot, down 4 spots total from where he started this race at. Jared Bundy sits just behind him, then it's Jacob Musso in the 95. And we're now at the portion of the run, too, where you can see lap traffic's kind of on the regular. Just about for the leader, Kyle Oakley. He's got a bit of a break right here. And then you've got about 4 or 5 of them currently working their way into turn 3. So once he catches them, that's where it might get a little bit dicey again for Oakley, especially if he's trying to hold on to this lead. And, right now, we talked about the gap. Well, even if Fitzgerald starts to close this gap, the big thing for Oakley here is just stay out in front as long as you can. And ideally, if you can be in the lead by the time it's, this next pit cycle, that is going to be huge for Oakley, because then he should, in theory, have the advantage coming out as long as he doesn't run a drastically different tire strategy than Austin Fitzgerald. So Oakley continues to try to tick off the laps here as we are approaching 175 laps. And oh no, caution is out. Some trouble maybe further back here. Looks like Jacob Musso, one of the playoff drivers. I'm looking for him here. I don't see it yet. I'm not exactly sure where the issue was at. There's Jacob Musso in the 95. I was looking to see if this car had any damage. And it does on the right front, especially. Even the left front. In fact, that whole front clip may have got a little bit of damage. As this is the 4th caution of the night, and I got to believe that is one that Kyle Oakley did not want to see with the way things were going for him. But let's go back and watch this here. First off, from the chopper view, as that's Jacob Musso. It looks like Brian Conklin. And you can see that's the 7 of Christian Lostgen that they caught up to. He's slow here. May have had an issue getting into the corner, but the point is the 7's slow up top. And the 95's just got a great big run. Goes to go to the middle. Oh, and man, there's contact right as the 7 blinks out. And I think there was going to be contact here anyway, but watch this. Right as Musso goes to go 3 wide here, I think Jacob maybe, I don't know if he saw Brian Conklin starting to come up or if he just gets a little bit loose himself or what, but it looks like he made a slight wheel adjustment that got him up the track a little bit right. there. Yeah, right there. Notice how he makes that slight adjustment. I'll play it slow for you again here. Watch it. Right? So he's going to get to his inside, and then watch this little correction right there. Right there. Sorry, that one. That correction right there. It just gets him up the track a little bit at the same time. The 7 is trying to kind of come off the wall. He blinks, and then the contact ensues between the 95 and the 7. Jacob Musso gets down into Brian Conklin. Then he goes for a slide here. Pretty hard shot into the inside safer barrier, but luckily doesn't look like he collects anyone else. But it does indeed still bring out the caution nonetheless. Take a couple more views at this one here. Watch this again as Brian Conklin, boy, he was lucky that this little bit of right hook contact didn't send him directly into the outside fence. And then there's the big hit to the inside wall for Jacob Musso. So as we go back live now, up front, lights on the pace car are still on. We expect them to be going off pretty soon. And I was going to say, we would expect pit stops here really from all drivers, because if you pit now, you should be good to make it to the finish. So no surprise there. But what I'm curious here is to see if we can get Kyle Oakley here real quick. Well, let's see. The lights on the pace car are still on? That's the big question here. Certainly struggling to tell if they are. Don't want to pull them up here if they're getting ready to go back green. So we'll wait to see if we can figure this out first before we go and... Yep, lights are still on. Let's see if we can pull Kyle Oakley up here real quick. Hey, Kyle Oakley, this is Austin up in the booth. Got a copy?
Hey, buddy.
Well, hey, man, I know you're getting ready to go back green, but things are going pretty good for you so far. First question is, what went through your head when you saw that caution come out?
Well, I was very disappointed, and now I'm very disappointed because when I cut down the pit road, I got a black flag, so...
Oh, man.
The pit. Yeah, every Bristol race, something like this happens, but I'm going to try to see what I can do here. I'm so mad at myself right now.
Well, we still got some time, and again, consistency going to be the key here tonight. So what's the game plan? Do you go aggressive, or do you try to stay conservative through the field here?
Well, now that I'm going to have to pit, I would say I'm probably going to be pretty aggressive.
All right, well, we'll see.
We'll see, man. I don't know. Hopefully, maybe a good caution will fly. I'll get my lap back, and I can drive back to the field.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was going to say, if we get a quick caution, could change things around. We'll see if we see back up here at the front. Either way, good speed so far, and we'll see if we're talking to you again here at the end of this race.
All right, see you, buddy.
And apologize for the brief delay. We're trying to get Kyle back down to his SWM teammates. Looks like we got the job done, and I didn't even realize that. I was so focused on the pit sequence itself. Didn't even realize that Kyle Oakley got a penalty, so you see him being scored second for now, but he's going to have to make a pit stop here to serve that flag, and that's going to be tricky in and of itself. All right, here we go. Going to be less than 75 laps to go as the green flag is back in the air, and it's a pretty good restart for the 74 of Austin Fitzgerald. Watch the 17 of Kyle Oakley. He's got to get down to the inside of the racetrack, and he's not going to be able to do it that time right there. Still stuck on the outside for now. Here comes the 15 of Jeff Marble. Where is he going to go? Is now, well, you really start to see some of the rubber buildup on the outside of the racetrack, most specifically by the outside wall. Fitzgerald, this is the first, not the first chance, but kind of the first chance in a while that he's had to kind of retain the lead. We'll see if he can pull out to a lead. And Michael Mueller, he's been pretty good through the short run. We'll see if that trend continues. His track temp has dropped a degree from what it was earlier when it peaked at about 83. So again, no handling issues, at least from a hot track perspective. But we talked about, don't believe there's going to be any more pit stops now. This should be drivers are able to make it all the way to the finish. And with that being the case, that certainly makes a few things interesting now in terms of this. I mean, unless we get a caution, which, you know, I know there's a good chance maybe we get one towards the end, but you can't rely on that, right? So you're expecting that if this goes green, you have got to find a way to save these tires and make them last. Now, for Kyle Oakley, you know, we didn't really express the magnitude enough here of how big of a penalty this is, because remember, at a normal track, you know, he maybe even stays on the lead lap. Maybe he's okay. At Bristol, here's the problem. He is going multiple laps down. I mean, this is just... And I'm looking here. I wonder if he didn't mean to take tires and he accidentally had them set. Look at the driver cam reaction. it says it all. He can't believe it. I mean, he had this in the bag in terms of, not just advancing to the next round, but also maybe winning this race. And now it's not only went from he's probably not going to win this race, but now he's also in danger of not even making it to the next round of the playoffs. I mean, he's going to be more than 3 laps down. There's no way he's going to get all these back at this rate. And man, that's such a tough break for Kyle Oakley. And another season that can come down to just one mistake. Man, oh man. Back up front, it's a 3-way battle for the lead, and guess who has now worked his way into the mixes? Heard a couple cars sliding out back. Looks like everybody's got it back together, though. Is Jeffrey Souza. How about this? The 96 now in 3rd position. And he's putting some pressure on the back bumper of Michael Mueller, as here comes the 72 of Johnny Mahalchuk as well. Johnny trying to get up there, looking for his teammate Jeff Shutt, who's a few spots behind. No Excuses Racing having a really solid night so far. And for Johnny right now, and I wonder if some drivers are trying to take advantage of these fresh tires, maybe, thinking that we'll get a kind of a streak of cautions towards the end, and that way you just have that track position. And if you keep getting quick restarts, tires don't necessarily have much of an effect. It's if you have kind of these longer green flag runs, which, I mean, so far, we've had a few of them here tonight, and we could be setting up for one all the way to the finish here, depending on how everything works out. You see Johnny Mikulchuk do the kind of classic. We see Dale Jr. do it a lot, and he has done it as well, where you kind of take that right hand and just slide on over to the left side of the wheel as you work through the corners. And now Jeffrey Souza going to look to the inside here of Austin Fitzgerald. Battle for the lead. Can the 96 get it right here? No, he can't. Fitzgerald had the momentum on the outside. The 74 was able to fight back down the straightaway, but it's the 96 who gets the advantage in the corner. Fitzgerald with some more momentum, though, and that time he'll get back clear down the straightaway. And for Austin Fitzgerald here, he wants to keep this clean air, keep the lead, but how hard does he want to run these tires? Souza is not a playoff driver, but again, for Fitzgerald, he's not worried about points because he's already locked into the next round. He wants to grab another win. Meanwhile, Michael Mueller, who sits in 3rd, Jeff Marble back in 5th, and then to find the next playoff driver after that, you got to go back to 7th. It's Tyler Marble, followed by Jared Bundy in 8th, Jeff Shutt in 9th, and Ty Iopolito currently rounding out your top 10. By the way, next place that PGR Esports, well, I say PGR Esports, next place that I'll be will be over on PGR Esports tomorrow night for Tuesday Night Thunder. Make sure you check that one out. By the way, if you're just tuning in, we appreciate you being here. You are watching the Capitol Auto Group Bristol 250 here from Bristol Motor Speedway. 250 laps, 125 miles, and we are just about in the final 5th of it. Now 197 laps complete. Boy, they are back to side-by-side up front. Souza still trying to find a way to get by on the inside here of Austin Fitzgerald, but he has not been able to do it, at least not as of yet. And caution is back out here. Some trouble trying to find exactly where this one sparked up at. And we got one around. That's Andrew Russo, another one of the playoff drivers. The 88 has come to a halt here. He's got to get this back going here before he goes a lap down. Get it rolling, Andrew. And yes, he will. All right, so the 88 won't have to worry about losing at least not another lap. I know he was already 4 down. But anything counts, especially with the way it's starting to shape up here for the drivers around that bubble. As that might help Kyle Oakley out. Well, maybe not, because you know that none of the leaders are probably pitting at this point. Either way, let's go back and take a look at what happened here to bring out the 5th caution of the night. So this was Andrew Russo alongside GT Hawkins here. This is going into the corner, and looks like maybe just kind of ran each other out of room here. Looks like Russo, well, that's a little bit of a late dive by GT Hawkins into the corner. And by late, the definition of late there for me is Andrew Russo certainly wasn't expecting it. And the 88 just goes to run that inside line. The 5 gets there and shoves him around. 88 goes for a spin, and oh, man, that's a big hit for Ryan Haynes. Had nowhere to go, T-bones him. And then another big hit as Brian Conklin, also with nowhere to go, for that 88 car finally was able to slide down the banking and onto the apron. Watch this from the cockpit view here. In fact, we'll go to the gearbox. I mean, this is a pretty late dive here by GT Hawkins, but I mean, for what it's worth, he had the run. And boy, that was close for Hickson. Cody Matthews had to get into the outside wall to avoid contact. There's the big hit for Haynes, and then the big hit for Conklin as well. So Let's go to the cockpit view here for Ryan Haynes. Watch this. Sees the spin. He's on the brakes. But it's not going to be nearly enough. How quick he kind of arrives on the scene right there. So I'll give you a couple more angles of this one here before we go back live and set ourselves up. What will be a restart within 50 to go, or rather inside 50 laps to go. There's the initial contact, and then there was the second hit for Brian Conklin. So a 3-car incident is what brought out the 5th caution. As back up front, Austin Fitzgerald being scored as your leader. Jeffrey Sousa's in 2nd. They've got Michael Mueller in 3rd with Jeff Marble in 4th, Tyler Marble 5th. And it's Christian Losgen in 6th, Jared Bundy 7th. Jeff Shutt 8th, Ty Iopolito in 9th, and Jake Hickson currently rounding out your top 10. So we talked about no more pit stops, at least for fuel. Now, most tracks with 50 laps to go, you'd be saying, okay, well, if we get a caution somewhere halfway and you got a set of tires, you still probably go take them. And for any drivers that even do have a set left at this point, I just don't think you give up the track position if you're at the front. If you were at the back and you got a set left, maybe. But anybody up here in the top 10, maybe even top 15, I just think, you know, within 50 laps to go, you can't give it up. Because especially if we start, you know, getting kind of the trend where cautions breed cautions here, and that, of course, could cause some more issues in of itself, as looks like we've got ourselves another delayed green. Kind of the story here tonight of these cautions with certain drivers getting lined up. The green flag having to get delayed here for some of these restarts, but it's important that we get it right over rushing it and getting it wrong. So we'll get another lap of anticipation here before we get back going green. And by the way, take a look at that scoring tower on the left, and you might notice Kyle Oakley 4 laps down, and unfortunately for him, a lot of drivers just ahead are also multiple laps down, so his chances of getting back on the lead lap are pretty much none. I mean, I would say at this point, if he gets back on the lead lap, he ought to go out and buy a lottery ticket. It's just not going to happen with this, you know, this few of laps left to a degree. So again, a very tough break for Kyle Oakley. It's going to be close. We'll have to see if he's able to advance with wherever he finishes here tonight. As here we go, working through 3 and 4. And it looks like it is going to be exactly 47 laps to go here from Bristol. There's the left turn. Austin Fitzgerald. Jeffrey Sousa. Green flag is back in the air. It's a great restart from the 74. The 96 gets caught sleeping just a little bit. And they'll race off into turn 1. The 48 of Tyler Marble. He is now broken back into the top 5. Losgen and Jared Bundy side by side out back. Now here comes the 15 of Jeff Marble. He's going to look to the outside through 3 and 4. Now he's got some momentum to work with. And the 15 looking to see if he can get alongside and maybe try to make a move here for the lead. He'll get clear of Sousa. And man, Jeff Marble, he is moving right now. Fitzgerald's going to stay on that high line. He won't give the 15 time of day. Does Jeff Marble try to adjust the line, or does he stay up here for now? Looks like he's going to stay up here for now. Sousa is going to continue to try to fend both of them off on the inside. And Fitzgerald likes what he sees when these two are going at it. Whenever they go side by side, that allows him to sneak away just a little bit more and more. The more battling they do, the bigger of a lead he's going to get. Here comes Michael Mueller in the 99, trying to make something happen, but he's just got nowhere to go right now. All the 2x2 action, and we're seeing it pretty much throughout the entirety of your top 10 right now. This is late race Bristol. This is what you expect. Drivers know that the time is now. You got to go for it. If you're going to go to the front, you got to go now. And Jeffrey Sousa and Austin Fitzgerald back to being side by side. Jeff Marble fell to that 3rd spot. Here comes his teammate Tyler Marble now, as Mueller will slide into 5th. Christian Losgen and Jeff Shutt, who was involved in a wreck earlier, now he's making his way back towards the front. Just behind him, Jared Bundy, Jake Hickson, and the 5 of GT Hawkins. Couple rookies, a lot of playoff drivers. As you see all those purple boxes in your scoring tower, a lot more than what it was earlier. So it'll be 212 laps complete when they cross the line this next time around. We're going to take what is hopefully our final break here tonight. We'll go side by side, and we will be back for the finish at Bristol. Stick with us as, man, we'll hold that thought for just a second as the 96 gets loose. Looks like him and the 99 save it. So now we will head to break. Stick with us. We'll be right back. Oh, never mind. More trouble. Further back, we got one in the wall. It's Ty Iopolito. Caution is out. As the 19 will get back rolling. But at what cost? What damage has the 19 sustained? This is, again, one of the playoff drivers, and more importantly, well, maybe not more importantly, but not just that, but this was also one of the drivers that was fighting for the Noble 5 challenge, and that left front suspension isn't looking too good. In fact, that left front splitter isn't looking too good, as it is pretty high off the ground. He's got some significant front end damage as he catches up to the 77 of Greg Bartlett. Well, we'll see here. The 19 can go in and get it fixed, but this is what happened here. There was a couple close calls here, a couple of cars that got loose, and that was actually the last incident. Let's go back here and get you up to speed. There was a couple cars that got loose, and then it was actually GT Hawkins here, who I think is just going to overcorrect it a little bit and slam into the outside wall. I think that's the first part of this ordeal. Watch this here. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. He gets wicked loose. That looked a little bit loose from TV, but from the cockpit view, he was all sorts of sideways, and so he has to, turn the wheel back right to not get into the 16. Problem is he overcorrects, slams the outside wall, and then now that he's hit the outside wall, Tai Iopolito's trying to duck low to get around it. He gets tagged from Kyle Oakley. And then you see Oakley get tagged by Johnny Mahalchuk, but it was Tai Iopolito, when he got tagged, who's going to take the brunt of this one, and this was a big hit into the inside wall here as he gets turned. Man, that's a big shot. Lucky that car stayed down too and didn't slide back up into traffic. That is a very, very tough break though for Tai Iopolito. Again, that's probably going to end his chances of the Noble 5 challenge if Jeff Marble's able to get a good finish with the damage he sustains right here. Give you one more view of this here. Actually, give you two views of this. First one from the TV static, and then we'll go to the cockpit view here. Tai Iopolito. Yeah, when you get turned that quick, you can lock it down. It's just not going to matter. So as we go back live now, we'll set ourselves up for a restart with just over 30 laps to go. Jeffrey Souza, by the way, currently being scored as your leader. So it looks like Fitzgerald decided to go down and take tires. This is a bit of an interesting call. He didn't get put that far back, all things considered. He's currently being scored in 12th. But, man, still, this late in the race, that's a surprising call to me, especially from Austin Fitzgerald. This is what it looked like here when they came into the pits. Let's see who all decided to bring it down. See, the 74, he ducks low. And just not really any takers. And so you wonder if Fitzgerald's saying, man, maybe I should have stayed out. Either way, we'll have fresher Goodyears. We'll see if he can make good use of them. As Jeffrey Souza is looking to grab his first win of the season. Again, not a playoff driver, but looking to potentially play a bit of spoiler here if he can get the job done. And it's a very likely possibility. The restart here looks like it's going to be with about 33 laps to go. So we are definitely closing in on the end of this one. By the way, we are scheduled to take one more side-by-side break, so as long as there's no incidents here, we'll probably take it soon off the start, and then we will be back for the finish. It's a little bit harder to schedule the breaks at a track like Bristol. I'll tell you what, I do need a drink of water for the crazy finish we're getting ready to see. So here we go. Green flag is back in the air. 218 of 250 laps complete. So we had a little bit of checking up out back. Does everybody get it together? One on the apron. It's Thomas O'Hara. He'll fade to the back before he jumps back up. Meanwhile, at the front, battle for the lead is on. Jeffrey Souza on the inside. Jeff Marble on the outside. They're side by side as they cross the stripe. And Jeff Marble, how cool would this one be? Really, for any driver, you can't forget, this counts as one of the crown jewels. The Bristol Night Race. And a chance to get yourself automatically locked into the next round if you are any of the playoff drivers. And a chance for Jeff Marble to cap off the Noble 5 challenge as well. Still 2x2. Jeff's got the lane that it seems like he likes better. Here comes Tyler Marble, Michael Mueller. He's starting to work up into the picture now as well. So all this battling, and we are going to be soon coming to 25 laps to go. So before we get to that point, we are going to take our final break of the night. We'll go side by side. We'll be right back. Stick with us at Bristol.
Capitol Subaru, we value your time, whether you're here for service or working with our amazing sales team. Everything is right here for your convenience. We offer a great selection of Subarus, an industry-leading service center that keeps you moving, and so much more. Like our living green wall, just one of the many features throughout our dealership. Looking for the perfect pet gift? Check out Happy Paws Pet Shop right here in our lobby. Or plan your next adventure in our fireside seating and find your happy place. It's always your time at Capitol Subaru, your way on the Parkway.
Welcome back to Bristol Motor Speedway. That was officially our last ad break of the night, so I appreciate everybody sticking through it as now we get ourselves ready for what is going to start becoming these late race restarts. We had a caution while we were on break. Let's go back and show you exactly what happened back right around. Let's see if this is where exactly it looked like it started here. And it's going to be... Is it in front? Didn't see it there. Oh, it might have been something a little bit further back. Is that... Yeah, sure enough. It's going to start with the 10 of Matthews and the 24 of Brandon Saylor. Give you one quick look at it as, as they come off of turn 2 right here. 24, just 3 wide. And not quite 3 wide. The 24 just comes up. I'm not sure if he was loose. And then once it comes across the 00's nose, wrecks on from there. Cody Matthews goes around. Slides back up. Clark gets collected a second time. That's what brings out your 7th caution of the night. I'll tell you what, though, all things considered, and you know what? Maybe I won't say anything yet. I was getting ready to comment on the caution count that we've seen so far here tonight. Not being too bad, but I'll go ahead and hold that thought for now until we get to the end of this race, because we still have what is going to be, looks like 19 laps to go when we get the green flag. While it's not a lot, still a lot of things that can happen in 19 laps. And again, sometimes, especially at a track like Bristol, late in the race, cautions breed cautions. Hoping that's not the case right here, but Jeff Marble now got to be feeling a lot better because he knows that lining up next to him in the front row is his teammate Tyler Marble. Row 2 is going to be Christian Losgen and Jeffrey Souza. Then it's Austin Fitzgerald and Jake Hickson back in row 3. Johnny Mahalchuk, great run here tonight for the 72. Can't say enough about the job he's done here pretty much all night, as he's got himself up 2 positions, or excuse me, up 12 positions from where he started. Currently sitting in that 8th spot. And maybe looking for a little bit more here. Maybe looking to break in a top 5 if he can keep the pace up that he's got going right now. All right, well, here we go. Green flag is back in the air. 20 laps to go at Bristol. It's a good restart for the 15 of Jeff Marble. His teammate Tyler Marble is going to try to fight back on the inside to see if he can either steal the win or potentially file into second and make it a Team Marble iRacing 1-2. Fitzgerald on a bit fresher tires. You see he is now up to 3rd on the outside. What can the 74 do as now caution is back out for trouble further back as we got one around and on the inside wall. And that is, yep, sure enough, Thomas O'Hara. We'll have to see exactly what happened here. Go back and see where this started. I believe it was somewhere in 3 and 4. In fact, it may have been coming off of turn 4. The 07's already sideways at this point. And if we back it up, does he just get loose by himself or does he get some help? Actually, that wasn't the 07 that was sideways. I take that back. That was the 99 of Michael Mueller, another one of the playoff drivers. Seems like a lot of the wrecks tonight have had implications for the playoff drivers. And contact there between Mueller and Jeff Shutt. Danny Gutierrez makes some contact, and Thomas O'Hara trying to miss him. Just really kind of had nowhere to go. Let's watch this again here from the chopper view. Because Mueller had a run, and I think Mueller was trying to just sneak clear the 27, and he just unfortunately didn't quite have it. And as he starts to kind of come down into the corner, I mean, Jeff Shutt's still there, and it's just slight contact. Gets this 19 around, and then watch Thomas O'Hara here. He's going to try to miss him, has to jump low, and then, oh man, O'Hara was so lucky to not completely slam into those barrels. That was so close, and if he would have, that would have been major, major damage to the 07. Watch how close this is. Oh my goodness. I cannot tell you how lucky Thomas O'Hara was to miss that right there. That could have been a whole lot worse. That might have been a night ender versus just a spin with minimal damage. All right, so as we go back live, getting ready for what is now going to be a restart. Looks like with closer to about 12 laps to go. So up front, leading the way, it's Jeff Marble. On the outside, it's going to be Christian Loshton. You've got Tyler Marble back in third, Austin Fitzgerald in fourth, Jeffrey Souza fifth with Roger Shelton in sixth. Then it's Jake Hickson back in seventh, Johnny Mahalchuk eighth, Taio Polito in ninth, and Kenneth Bartholomew currently rounding out your top 10. If you're just tuning in, you picked a good time to do it. You're watching the Capitol Auto Bristol 250 for the FastTrack Sim Racing Cup Series presented by the Alloy Wheel Repair Specialist. So we are closing in on about the last 5 to 7 miles or so of this race. And it looks like we're going to get a restart probably with around maybe 12 laps to go. So while we wait, let's see if we can maybe get a quick word here with Jeff Marble before we go back green. In fact, before we do that here, making sure we can have time. Yeah, we got time. Let's go see if we can get him. There's Christian Loshton, but let's pull up Jeff Marble here and see how he's feeling right about now. Hey, Jeff Marble, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir. Me took one of those, sir.
All right. Well, just real quick. Hey, we'll make it quick. You got yourself in the lead. We're seeing some late race cautions. What's the mindset here to get the job done?
Put the old peanuts up on the dashboard and go for it.
Sounds like a pretty good plan. Well, you don't need a win to get locked in, but how much would one mean here to Crown Jewel?
I want this one bad.
All right. Well, we'll see if you can get it. Thanks for talking to us, Jeff. Good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you.
There you go. He said, want to go. He's in the zone. He knows. Hey, can't blame him. He said, I want this one bad. We'll see if he can find a way to get the job done. It is going to get interesting. Again, exact lap count to the finish. If it goes green, is going to be 12 laps to go. Green flag back in the air at Bristol. It's a good restart. This time, Loshton's going to match him, though. They were going to drag race off into one, and look at this. Christian Loshton gets the better run. He gets clear off of turn 2. New leader at Bristol. Christian Loshton, he had pretty good short run speed earlier, and now Jeff Marble has to deal with the 74 on his bumper. Can the 15 gather it up enough to go back and put some fight to the 7 of Christian Loshton? A little bit of contact further back between the 48 and the 74. Fitzgerald's trying to get back clear of Tyler Marble to see if he's got enough time to get back to the front. Now he does. Tyler has to shuffle into fourth. Up front, Loshton, though, is pulling away. He's got it up. Almost half a second. Marble gets turned. Tyler Marble's going to get turned. Caution is out. Oh, and the 48 is going to get clobbered at the end by the 07 of Thomas O'Hara. 9th caution of the night with 9 laps to go, and now we're going to have a restart. It's probably about 5 laps or so to go. And you can see the head shake there out of Tyler Marble, the disappointment. He cannot believe it. Was in good position, closing in on the finish, and fortunately now, he's going to lose a whole bunch of track position. I think he's just got to hope that the damage isn't too bad. Let's go back and see what sparked this one. I saw Tyler getting either a little bit of contact or a little bit loose a few times here. I think this is going to be between him and Roger Shelton. That's where this incident's going to start. So watch the 48 and the 42 here as they start to work their way. No contact there, so that was close. They're close to making contact in the middle of the corner, but they don't. They're okay here. And then does Tyler just get a little bit loose? So he drives the car down the banking, no harm, no foul, and then wonder if he thought he was clear or is Shelton coming down. I think it's Shelton maybe moving down a little bit. Gets into him, and then boy, that was a couple of brutal hits. And again, playoff drivers, 73 Bartholomew, and then the 07 of Thomas O'Hara, 2 involved. Watch this from the aerial shot. There's the 42 Shelton on the outside. I think Shelton's moving down just a little bit. And again, I mean, that's kind of, again, the natural racing line when you come off the corner here. Shelton's way up top. He's making sure he doesn't get into the wall. And at the same time, Tyler does slide up a little bit. I think that's just really hard racing at the end here. It's the 48 turn around. And right here, watch some of these hits. Boom, 73 plows in. He had nowhere to go. And then up ahead, boom, the 07. He's going to pile in, nowhere to go. Couple of incidents late. Continues to get us closer and closer to the possibility of a potential overtime here at Bristol. And you kind of knew to expect it, so we'll see who has their car set up for a short run. But man, for Christian Loshton, I got to believe he did not want to see that caution. It was looking like he may have had a golden ticket to winning this race, scooting away. And by the way, don't forget, this 7 car, he's looking for his first win in the FastTrack Sim Racing Cup Series. He is a rookie. He's looking for his first win again, not only in the season, but in the FastTrack Sim Racing Cup Series in general. And that would just add to the list of rookies who have found victory lane, and kind of a silly season for the way it's worked out with, I think the veterans have still dominated in big part due to Austin Fitzgerald, but just how surprising the rookies have been in terms of the talent level and being able to deliver pretty much each and every race. And as mentioned for Christian Lostgen, he's got a big opportunity here, but now he's going to have to fend off one of the veterans, Jeff Marble. Lostgen was able to match Jeff on the last restart. The question is, can Jeff now match him on this restart? Get the one-to-go signal this time? Yes, we do. So it's going to be exactly 4 laps to go. And we've got to complete at least 3 and make it to the white flag for this race to be official. Well, if you're just tuning in, again, we appreciate you being here. I want to say for the final time here tonight that glad that you're with us. Hope you're having a good Monday night, Monday evening, depending on which part of the country that you're in. You're watching the FastTrack Sim Racing Cup Series on Ghost Racing Network. So here we go. Don't count out Roger Shelton, another driver looking for his first win. Jeffrey Souza, Johnny Mahalchuk. Fitzgerald looking to extend the streak. He's already got 10 on the season. Can he make it 11 tonight? And can Jeff Marble find his first win of the playoffs? Green flag is back in the air. This time it's a pretty good restart for Jeff Marble, but Lostgen is able to get off the line just a little bit better. Jeff Marble dives it down, and he gets clear. What a move for Jeff Marble. He did the same thing that Christian Lostgen did to him last time. And now the 15's got the lead, but he's going to have to defend. Lostgen gets to the wall out back. 3 laps to go, and Jeff Marble is trying to scoot away. Fitzgerald gets clear to second. Now the 74 just has one more car to go to try to get himself a win in this race. Fitzgerald running the bottom. Jeff Marble up top. 2 laps to go, and that means 1 lap till this race is official. So far, so good. Everybody keeps it clean down the backstretch. Jeff Marble, here we go. White flag in the air, 1 lap to go. Does Fitzgerald have anything for him? Can Fitzgerald get close enough to maybe give him a little shot? Now Fitzgerald goes to the inside. They're going to be side by side as they work their way through 3 and 4 for the final time. This could be a drag race all the way to the finish. Marble has a run. It's not enough. Fitzgerald steals it. Austin Fitzgerald steals one at the line. It's another win for Austin Fitzgerald, and heartbreak for Jeff Marble. What a finish, though. Where did he come from? It looked like Marble had it on the last lap. Fitzgerald got alongside of him off at 2. And the new tires may have given him just what he needed to get the job done. Oh my goodness. Well, as Fitzgerald burns it down here, we'll take a look at the results, and then we got to go back and look at that finish because that was some incredible stuff. Austin Fitzgerald is your race winner. Bringing home second here tonight is Jeff Marble. Christian Lostgen in third. It's Roger Shelton back in fourth with Johnny Mahalchuk in fifth. Jeffrey Souza sixth. Ty Iopolito in seventh. Jake Hickson in eighth. And you know what? Let me back that up for a minute. What a comeback for Ty Iopolito to finish seventh after the trouble he had earlier with that late wreck. Jake Hickson in 8th, Jeff Shutt in 9th, and Danny Gutierrez rounds out your top 10. Jared Bundy finishes in 11th, Greg Bartlett in 12th, Brandon Sailorback in 13th with Thomas O'Hara in 14th. Cody Matthews finishes in 15th. It's Kenneth Bartholomew in 16th. Then you've got Kyle Oakley recovering to a 17th place finish. Quentin Clark back in 18th. And rounding out your top 20 here tonight is going to be Tyler Marble and Michael Mueller. Finishing in the 21st spot here tonight, it's Jacob Musso, GT Hawkins 22nd, Scott Glasso 23rd with Brian Conklin in 24th, Andrew Russo 25th, Ryan Haynes in 26th, Christopher Hall 27th with Brett Spod back in 28th, and then finishing in 29th here tonight. In fact, looks like it's going to be Alan Pajari and then Wesser Jr. rounding out your top 30. And rounding out the field is Tracy Powers 31st and Anthony Hanley in 32nd. All right, we're going to go grab your top 3 for interviews. Stick with us. We'll be right back at Bristol. And welcome back to Bristol Motor Speedway. Before we go get your top 3, I do want to go back and look at this white flag lap because, again, this was some pretty incredible stuff between the 2 leaders here. Watch where Fitzgerald is when they take the white flag, and then let's watch how this whole battle kind of develops here from TV3. So this is coming off of turn 4. to take the white flag. Fitzgerald sets himself up with a decent run, but it's down here to 1 and 2 where the magic happens. Watch the 74. Gets a good run through the center and gets a great exit to get alongside Jeff Marble. And then right here, I thought for sure Jeff was going to have the momentum on exit, but Fitzgerald with those little bit fresher tires had just enough, and he's able to edge out Jeff Marble coming to the checkered. Give you a slow motion of that finish again. Man, it's not often we get to see something like that at a track like Bristol, but it did not disappoint here tonight. And there's your finish here. Let's see if we get any other angle of it. Right there, Fitzgerald gets it by probably about, I don't know, a car length, maybe half a car length. That's just how close it was. All right, now we're going to go grab your top 3. We'll be right back. Stick with us at Bristol. All right, going to start first here tonight with your race winner. It's Austin Fitzgerald. Austin, this is Austin in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I do.
Well, you win it on a last lap pass at Bristol of all tracks. Man, how did you set him up there? I didn't think you were going to have enough coming to the white flag. Next thing you know, you're side by side, and then you beat him to the checkered.
Yeah, I didn't think so either. You know, earlier I pitted with I think it was like 40 or so to go because I knew if I don't pit at that point, I'm not going to pit again. And I kind of thought everybody else would think the same thing, and I was like all alone. But I knew, if we at least had a decent amount of green flag laps that, coming through the field, I'd have a pretty big advantage. And fortunately, we just weren't getting a lot of green flag runs. It was just caution after caution. But fortunately, I was able to, pick off 1, 2, maybe 3 cars, in each sequence there, each green flag sequence, and eventually found myself, in the second row. And, I was behind Jeff, and Christian took the high line. High line's typically been faster on the restarts, and it looks like he just got a little out of shape there, and Jeff got by him. I was really surprised by that. And then luckily I was able to get my nose in there on the low line, and I could just tell, the fact that I had the newer tires, I was just able to carry so much more speed through the center of the corner. And I had a little ways to go on Jeff, but coming to the last lap, coming off of 4 there, I took the high line and just tried to get as much of a run as I could. I got down to maybe a half car length, and then got close. I think I got side by side, turn 1 and 2. That was key right there. And then it just again through the center of 3 and 4, I was able to wrap it just so much faster than Jeff was on the older tires. And the thing is, if we only have 2 or 3 laps there, they'd been fine because, these tires are mostly about tire temp. But, every lap, the tire temp rising so fast with the worn tires on top of that, their pace was just dropping off so much more, just on those, 40 or maybe 20 lap older tires. So that was definitely key. It was all about the tires, and one less lap. There's no way I could have done that, but that was fun. That was a lot of fun.
A lot of fun to watch, and now you've got yourself locked in to the round of 8. Next week, we head off to Kansas, and now does the mindset, and actually not just the mindset, but how do things start to tighten up as you get deeper in the playoffs? And the playoff points, while they still mean a lot, start to slowly kind of almost fade away when things even out a bit.
Well, first off, just back to the race again. I just shout out to Jeff. He's always a super clean racer. I mean, a lot of people could have adored me right there, did whatever it took, to get that win, even if it means, wrecking me. And Jeff's always been a really clean racer, really respectable. So just thank you and shout out to him. And then, going into these next races, with these wins, it really pads my points. So just, I just can't have a bunch of stupid races, and I should be good to the next round after that even. And there are some wild card races in there. You got Talladega, so that could be all about, attrition. And then we got a road course in there. I like that. And then Kansas, I don't love the intermediates, but hey, the Dynamic Auto Sports, we bring pretty good setups every week, and everybody just improves throughout the week. So I'm sure, I'll be sitting fine come Monday for that. And then, like I was saying last week, this last stretch of the season, there's a lot of drivers tracks, if you will, a lot more, short tracks, wide, flat turns like Phoenix, and, you got the road course still. So, yeah, I really like this stretch, and, yeah, I'm feeling confident at least for this next round, and my other teammates as well, Ty and Jake, we should be pretty good as long as we, pretty good at least getting into the round of eight, as long as we don't, throw any races away or, hopefully get, stuck in, incidents that aren't our own doing. But yeah, looking forward to it.
All right. Well, before we let you head out here tonight to celebrate, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Again, thanks to Jeff for always being a clean driver. Shout out to the team, Dynamic Auto Sports. And hey, thank you as always for the broadcast. And yeah, that's about it.
Thank you for talking to us, Austin. Congrats on the win here tonight. You're the winner of the Capitol Auto Bristol 250. We'll see you next week in the round of 8.
Thanks, Austin.
All right, and now that's going to bring us to tonight's second place finisher for Team Marble iRacing. It's Jeff Marble. Jeff, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir. How you doing?
Good. Well, man, you bring home second here tonight. So close. It was a great photo finish, but you come up just a bit short. Man, I thought you had it off of 4. What happened?
Better tires is what happened. I mean, I can only do so much up there when, yeah, he's just got better tires. I mean, you can damn near flat-footed on the first lap or two, but by the time we got to the last lap, I went in like I normally do, and she just wouldn't turn, lost the momentum, and got me.
I know it's a tough loss here tonight, but, I mean, we think about, moving forward. You know that you're in the round of 8. You've got a couple tracks to look forward to. We know we've got Talladega, Kansas, and the Charlotte Roval. Do you have a track in mind that you've kind of got circled to get a win, or do you try to just keep the same mindset you've had all season, which is just consistent runs?
What's after Kansas?
Talladega.
Talladega, whatever. It's probably Kansas. My best shot is probably at Kansas. Roval. It's between Fitz and Tyler, in my humble opinion. There may be people that step up, but after what I witnessed at the Glen, I expect them two to be up front between them two. Yeah, Kansas.
All right. Well, hey, Jeff, before we let you head out here tonight, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah, Alloy Wheel Repair Specialist out of Richmond, Virginia, Ghost Racing Network, yourself for broadcasting, simracerhub.com, Capitol Auto Group. Tonight was a no bull race. Well, at least on a positive side, I think I beat Ty. I always screw up his last name, but Ty Ippolito. I think I may have gotten him with the No Bull 5. It'll be close. We have to tally up the numbers, but if I did get him, that'll be the 4th year in a row I got it. So at least there's a shining light with that. So Capitol Auto Group, Bushnell Motorsports Park, iRacingIFlag.com, Butt Kicker, Donnie Adams Act Design Studio. If I forgot anybody, I apologize.
All right, and Jeff, thank you for talking to us. Again, congrats on the second place finish, and we will see you next week.
Yeah, roger that. Thank you.
All right, and now that'll bring us up to tonight's third place finisher, the man rounding out the podium. It's Christian Lostian. Christian, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, I do.
Well, you bring home a third place finish here tonight, and there was a couple times where it looked like you had a shot at victory. Were you hoping that second to last run was going to stay green?
Oh, 100%. As soon as it came out, I was kind of yelling into my mic to my stream, and so I was really hoping it'd stay green. But yeah.
Well, I mean, overall, you had a ton of speed here tonight, and I know you're not in the playoffs, but you come into this series as a rookie, and it seems like each and every race you continue to get better and better. Do you see yourself grabbing that first win before the season's all said and done?
I'd say maybe, but intermediates are gonna be tough. I feel I kind of expect to be around like midfield, like 15th to or about 16th to 10th. But it'd be cool to get my first win. But right now, these last 2 races have really played into my strengths, with it being road courses and a short track that I feel like I'm decent at. But yeah, I feel like I can at least compete at some tracks that we're coming up to.
Yeah, sure. Certainly showed a lot of speed here tonight. Well, hey, Christian, before we let you head out, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
I just want to thank my buddies over at another that I race with elsewhere, but they support me through all this, and they kind of give me hell whenever it's like not a great run, or I kind of make a dumb mistake that I shouldn't have done. Like that last restart, I feel like I should have started inside, and that probably would have given me a better chance, but yeah.
Well, hey, Christian, thank you for talking to us tonight. Congrats on the third place finish, and we will see you next week.
Yep, thank you.
All right, well, that is just about going to wrap up our coverage here tonight. Man, what a great race it was, and what a finish. Bristol did not disappoint. And for Austin Fitzgerald, he is the winner of the Capitol Auto Bristol 250. As always, thank you all so much for tuning in. That'll do it for me, Austin Green, here on Ghost Racing Network. We'll be back next week to kick off the round of 8. Until then, have a good night.